Well, howdy. Yeah, it's Jeff again, and thought I'd keep my promise and go ahead and let you know that I did get my impressions made and my bite measurements done this week. The date for my extractions is this coming Monday, and I'm getting pretty excited. I'm ready to get these teeth pulled out of here. Now, I had promised to kind of describe the process of getting the impressions made, so the best I can say is they mix up a formula of some kind of powder. They add water to it, and then they stir it up, and they put it into a tray approximately the size of a denture plate, and they set that down into your mouth. And incidentally, if your teeth are cold sensitive, this stuff is generally cold, apparently. If there's any dentists watching this, you might talk to your dental assistants and your denturists about the possibility of maybe using warmer water to mix this stuff up with, because believe me, it was mighty cold on my teeth. They set that down in there, and you're supposed to bite down, and you sit there 2, 3, 4 minutes. In my case, the stuff was a bright yellow. I'm not going to presume that it's always the same color, but I know that I ended up with a whole bunch of crumbs of yellow stuff all over my clothes. Had to dust that stuff all off. But they do the bottom, and then they come along and they do the top. Now, if you've ever wondered what the suction is that holds those denture plates up to the roof of your mouth, you won't wonder quite so much after they make the impression of your mouth. They slide that tray up into your mouth, and they hold it there. And after 2, 3, 3.5, 4 minutes, they pull that stuff out. And brother, it is stuck up there like you put it up there with super glue. And they're trying to pull it out. You're not quite sure they're not going to pull the rest of your teeth out with it, or the roof of your mouth for that matter. So it will form a bit of a vacuum seal up there. Well, that's the impressions. So I went back 2 days later, and they took something more like what you would think were the frames for partial plates, and they take a piece of wax, and they set one here, they set another one up there, and they tell you to bite down. You know, the fellow has you do that, or the gal, and again, you wait for the wax. Now, the wax is warmed up. They warm it up to make it nice and soft. Then they wait for it to cool so that it holds the impression. And then after a few minutes, they take some blue stuff. I'm not quite sure what the blue stuff does. And they squirt that stuff in there. And that apparently allows them to see more clearly exactly where your bite is, so that when they put the thing together, you bite the way you're supposed to bite. So then they take all of that information along with, in my case, they had a mold cast of my teeth, my entire mouth, made out of those impressions they'd made on Tuesday, already sitting there. Now the teeth in that mold cast were a little bit prettier than my own teeth. They didn't have any cavities or fillings in them. But otherwise, they were pretty much a precise replication of the inside of my mouth. What my mouth looks like just now. So that's what they're going to take. That set of teeth, or impression of your mouth, and this other thing that shows your bite, and they're going to figure out how to design those dentures so that you've got the best bite possible. Now, my wife was with me when I had my impressions made, and she swore to high heaven that when she had a little bitty tiny front tooth partial plate made just for the purposes of appearance about 7-8 years ago, that they didn't go through quite so much rigmarole as they put me through. The only thing she had to do was bite into some kind of wax thingamabob. And the guy made, using that and a photo of her mouth, made those front teeth. But of course, the difference was that the partials she got were not intended for anything more than cosmetic appearance. And they did improve her looks quite a bit. But she had trouble eating with them most of the time, complained how they rubbed on her gum line and were not comfortable at all, and she didn't wear them very often after the first couple months. So the process they put me through, that process is designed to make sure the things fit. Presumably we're going to fit my gums a whole lot better, and that will enable me to actually eat with my immediate dentures. Now, the man who sat down with me today to do the bite measure, he made a real strong point to tell me, look, it's going to be a learning process. And we talked about that, and I said, I'm well aware that after I have dentures, biting into an apple and pulling not going to be a good idea, because I'm liable to pull the dentures right out with the apple. And he said, yeah, you're going to have to learn to do that. You're going to have to learn to eat with both sides of your mouth. There's going to be all kinds of learning. As he pointed out, with only 15 teeth left in my head, that means that every time I've had an extraction, I've already had to learn how to eat all entirely differently each and every time I had an extraction done. So that's going to be something I'll have to learn to do, and I'm already aware of and prepared to endure that. I've spoken to church. By the way, if you are a person of faith, I would recommend that you let somebody know within your religious tradition that you'd appreciate prayers and good thoughts, and do whatever your religious tradition might do for somebody who's preparing to face significant surgery. In my case, I'm going to get a priesthood blessing and be anointed with oil and all of that. That may not be part of your tradition, but whatever it is you do, you'll probably feel better. Now, they will not be giving me any kind of sedative at the place I'm going. They just do not do that. They won't be giving me any laughing gas. They just do not do that. I have a medical appointment today with the VA, and I'm going to mention to them that I would like to have had some sort of Valium or something. It's possible the VA will voluntarily give me 1 or 2 Valiums or something like that to take just prior to this ordeal on Monday. But if they don't, almost everybody that I've talked to has told me, real plain, that the shots are the most unpleasant part of it. Until the swelling sets in a couple, 3 days later. But in terms of the actual extractions, the worst part of the whole ordeal for most folk is the getting the shots, and if you are awake and alert, listening to the cracking and popping as they pull those teeth out. I'm not looking forward to the sound of it, nor to the shots, but there it is. So I've covered about 12 minutes of time, and I think that'll be just about enough to give folks the sense of what it's like to get your impressions made. And don't look for me to post immediately after my extractions, but a day or so later, after I've got to where I no longer talk like Sylvester Stallone or Sylvester the Cat. Actually, I thought I saw a putty tat. I did saw a putty tat. When I get to where I no longer sound like I'm talking kind of like that, I'll put a video up, talk about what the experience was like, show off my new teeth, and call it a day. Be blessed, folks.